All right, good evening, everybody. I think we've got enough here for a quorum. So that being said, I will go ahead and turn it over to our president, Randy Bowers, to get us rolling.
Call to order is 6:37. Roll call members, I'm present, CJ and Johnny.
Yep.
Here.
Victoria,
I'm here.
John, Robert,
John is not here. He is out of town, family vacation.
Michael,
Michael is here.
and Kirby. You heard from Kirby.
I have not heard from Kirby.
Okay, so roll call members, approval of minutes from last month's meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Johnny's made a motion. CJ second. Need to,
Yep, all in favor, I'll pull the board. We'll start those two here, CJ. Randy,
yes.
Victoria,
Yes.
Johnny,
Yes.
and Mike. I'm taking that facial expression as a yes, Mike, because we're still muted, so, anyway, okay, perfect.
Mike, can you hear us?
That's better, yes.
There he goes.
You found the minutes?
Yep.
Okay. So approved there on to citizen input. Any citizen input?
Nope.
Nothing there tonight, so Evan, back to you for all business.
All right. So good evening, everybody, again, welcome. Good to see all of you again, virtually and or in person. As a side note, of course, we know that, well, you may have seen that the governor came out today and did reduce some of the existing restrictions in place. That stuff is effective at 5 p.m. on Friday. I don't know for certain about complete in-person meetings yet, although I will say, of course, we are at a number where we can all of the rec board can be here in person. I know some people might have, COVID-related concerns and want to attend virtually, and some might just like to attend virtually because of convenience. I'm not certain what the future will hold when we can actually go back to live in-person meetings. That would be something that I'll have to determine, and what I mean by that is if somebody wants to attend virtually rather than in person, simply for the sheer convenience of it, if that is acceptable for attendance or not, I certainly hope it will be. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I did just want to mention that I certainly see the possibility of in-person meetings resuming at a council level, and then of course on down to the other volunteer boards. There's a real possibility.
I don't see the issue with it, especially when we live stream anyway.
Right. So, the only question there is, would there be any statutory requirements that would require in-person attendance rather than virtual? I have a feeling that probably will be changed, as many things will be as we move forward to accept some things that we have learned to start to work with as a result of COVID. So anyway, just a quick side note. So on the old business projects and parks maintenance, of course, ball field renovations, Kiwanis and the Clover Fields, I'm happy to announce that project is done. The contractor completed that project on March 12th. So I say that they completed Kiwanis Field on March the evening of March 11th, we did the walkthrough on March 12th, and open fields, that field practice on Monday, March 15th, and then we did the walkthrough on the Clawhorn on March 15th, and opened that field, on March 15th as well. So all the work on fields were on March 12th, and they were open, for use beginning, March 15th. So I'm certainly happy to say that project is complete. You know, we battled the weather, the contractor battled the weather, and it took significantly longer than we would have liked, and the contractor would have liked too, I know, but thankfully we did get it done. Miscellaneous, not a ton of miscellaneous stuff, just a few real quick notes. One, I think the guys are continuing work on, when I said Parks and Maintenance staff, continuing work on replacing some of the various greenery around our parks that are, dead, dying, simply in need of replacement. They've replaced all of the stuff around immediately dugouts on Smithfield. They're going to continue on out from there. Looks a lot better than what it did, and I certainly look forward to seeing what continues. Because I want to say that the next one we're going to do is start replacing some of the ink barriers that are dead, dying, or already removed on Division Street at the Rec Park. And then at Hillcrest, they've done some work on the ball field, just cleaning up the infield, doing a little bit of in-house leveling and grading. We've also added a fair amount of play to that field as well. In prep for T-ball and PB seasons, which is really when that field begins to get heavily utilized. Spring baseball, Cal Ripken baseball, you'll see both these items in the rec programs agenda too, but I will go into that whole lot of detail on the rec program side of it. But Cal Ripken, that program is underway. Game-wise, we started games last night. That season goes through about the end of May when you take into account regular season and end of season tournament, potentially into early June. Each team's playing 15 games in the regular season in all three age groups. Makeups, makeups will be difficult just because of the way scheduling was done this year, which is part of the reason 15 game schedule. I've got the numbers in the rec programs agenda. I believe we're at, I think it's 17 to T-ball and 18 to Pee-wee, so a little bit lower than average, which again is not overly surprising and just kind of mirroring what we have seen. Oh. Well, that just happened. Are you guys still there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
I don't know what my Zoom connection just went MIA and now it's saying connecting, but I don't want to mess with it. So we're just going to keep on. And I'll try to check in with you guys. If this doesn't pop up and start looking normal, I'll try to check in with those of you who are attending virtually every few minutes just to make sure that you're still there. Oh, here we go. Back up. I don't know. It's a little bit lower, but still doing the other programs that we've registered. And that season will start mid-April. Anyway, those of you who aren't here, I'm sure won't laughing. It sounds like there's some four-legged friends somewhere running around. But anyway, Town Easter event, we are hosting what we're calling a Easter egg and Bunny Way drive-through this Saturday at the Winterville Rec Park on Division Street from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That time window is kind of long, like kind of what it is here in a second, but that time window is kind of long. And the main reason that we put the time window that long is a drive-through event. So people are coming through, they're not getting out of their vehicles. So that way it just gives time for people, or multiple times throughout the course of the morning / early afternoon for people to come. So hopefully we don't get too backed up at one time, maybe allows a little more flexibility for people. But again, it is simple in its nature. People will be driving through, the bunny will be there dancing and waving, and each vehicle that comes through will receive bagged Easter eggs. We ordered, some Easter themed bags. We've got a bunch of Easter eggs, so we'll give a bag of the Easter eggs to the vehicles as they come, so that they can go do their own little Easter egg hunt. And again, that is this Saturday from 9 to 1 at the Winterville Rec Park on Division Street. And of course, if you are telling anybody interested in participating, just let them know to enter Division Street from Main Street and to remain in their vehicles at all times. 2021 concerts and movies. We have, as we have previously discussed somewhat, we have booked all of the same movies for this year that we had booked originally for last year, because they were all paid for last year but not shown. So I'm going to jump to the grants agenda real quick, just so you guys can see what those were. So we've got Aladdin, Frozen 2, Toy Story 4, and The Secret Life of Pets 2. You will notice that there aren't any show dates. I anticipate those show dates will probably be finalized in the next week. As a matter of fact, I know Ian was trying, our rec program supervisor was trying to talk to me about a few dates late afternoon, and I just had too much stuff going on to really get down to the weeds on that one, but we'll have those solidified pretty quickly. And then right below that, you see our 2021. Yeah, and that's a wrong date. The 2021 concert and movie series. So that one is, I've got a date wrong in there, so I can tell you guys correctly. Apparently I didn't. So I don't work in SharePoint, which is where I pulled this from, and I guess when I copied it over, June, Rural Route Romance is June. So my apologies, I'm going to get that corrected in minutes. Back. Okay, there we go. And it looks like, again, just kind of where we are right now, and where we continue to go, that we will be, which is why we pushed back concerts and movies to June, but hopefully, assuming that things keep going in the direction that they're going COVID-wise, we shouldn't have any significant obstacles spectator-wise for concerts and movies, which is a good thing, because we pay a fair amount of money for these things. We don't charge anything for them. Sometimes it's sponsorship, but we don't charge anything for them. So, regardless, we like to have folks there, so that the more people there, the more we feel the town's going to get some money worth out of it.
Yeah, the concession stand.
So hopefully.
Okay.
We don't, and kind of touch on that. So we do not, at this particular point in time, have concession stands open. There's a few reasons behind that. One, COVID. Two,
Outdoor restaurants can have 100% capacity.
I know,
Come 5 o'clock, right?
we're already dealing with a lot of other COVID stuff, Randy.
Okay, just point out.
So, it's just, it's one less thing for us to have to pull hair out of that.
I understand.
But the other part to it is really one of the biggest parts is, we haven't run concessions in a year.
So there's some.
So we don't have much of any concession staff.
Organization to put together.
Correct. So, you know, we've got to get some staff hired on and trained in order to even consider when we're going to be able to start concessions again. So anyway, so that's the note on that. And jumping back to baseball, I kind of jumped past that one. So it's from baseball. One thing, we are, as it currently stands, and I haven't gone through this, the executive board, the most recent executive board with a fine tooth comb. You know, I have glanced at it. All of our on-field baseball players, coaches, and umpires are wearing masks currently. Of course, that's subject to change based off of whatever restrictions are in place. That's how we are. That's how we started the season, and we're operating currently. Like I said, last night it went pretty well. But the other thing I wanted to show you guys, and I've got to pull up this one because let me share something else with you guys. So we are now live streaming baseball games. If you guys recall, later last year, we purchased some cameras and stuff so that we could start live streaming. And
Just one.
Corey, and that's what I was going to show. So let me see if I can.
Just on one field.
So what we've got is we have got we've got 3 cameras right now. 3 cameras, you have to connect to an iPad or similar device, and of course you have to have wireless internet as well. So we've got enough. Most nights and most days we're playing on 3 fields. Kiwanis, McLaughlin, and Smith fields. In case anybody's wondering why I wasn't just logging into it on the other windows, because I've got the other window logged into the town's Gmail, and I don't want to mess up any streaming stuff, so I'm trying to pull it up in Internet Explorer, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Let's see. Give me a second here. My gosh.
That's anywhere. I'm on my phone. I can't get anything in time.
Well, it's been up and down. Like, I don't understand. Well, I'm going to give it some time to load. We'll come back to this week. We'll come back to the Pro Crazy agenda. Anyway, we're not going to take all the time in the world on that. So, on to town park operating hours. Of course, we talked about this one some at last month's meeting. And I said, of course, I would come up with some various examples or potential options to be considered. And I sent those to you all on Thursday along with all the agenda information. I don't know if everybody had a chance to review it or not. One thing that I did want to say is, of course, keep in mind, none of these are anything final. They're all just for discussion purposes. You know, months, times, etc. could change. The real thing behind it is the thought process, the premise behind each one. So, and again, you know, and they're not in any particular order of preference or anything along those lines. So, option number 1 is seasonally set out, except and discuss with you guys at last month's meeting. So for example, than the rest of the parks, which is how things currently operate, but it's, and you know, it's been, even though it's not necessarily written or shown that way, it's just operating that way to a certain degree. Option 2 is year-round set hours. With, I should say, without exceptions for lighted facilities. So all town parks and recreation areas shall be open to the public between sunrise and 9 o'clock p.m. or is posted. Which that or is posted just basically opens the door if there were any specific parks that needed hours changed because of their nature. Let's say there was a new park built and the nature of the park was something different. Then they need to create separate parks or hours for that specific park. So this regulates the park system as a whole, but doesn't, none of them necessarily say that all of them have to be on that one, though in this case, we're talking about it that way. So all town parks and recreation areas should be open to the public between sunrise and 9 p.m. or it's posted. Lighted facilities defined as batting cage, tennis courts, walking trails are open beyond stated park hours as outlined below. So November through March, sunrise to 8 p.m. I realize that's before 9 p.m. Again, this is all just for discussion purposes. And then April through October, sunrise to 10 o'clock p.m. Option 3, seasonally set hours with no exception for lighted facilities. So basically, like what similar to what we have right now, only modifying the operating hours themselves. So for example, here, all town parks and recreation areas should be open to the public the following times: November through March, sunrise to sunset; April through October, sunrise to 9 o'clock p.m. So the big difference there is, instead of saying that only specific areas of the park are open, the park as a whole is open. And then the last one is year-round set hours with no exceptions for lighting facilities. So all downtown parks and recreation areas should be open to the public between sunrise and 9 o'clock p.m. or as posted. Which I've seen examples of a lot of these in different formats, just in moving around, not necessarily exactly the same, depending on which circumstance everybody tries to meet the needs of their community or the desires of their community. With that being said, does anybody have any strong feelings or thoughts, one way or the other, on any of the options that are presented?
I feel like option 2 would be the one I'd go with. I would like combine 1 and 2 and just say open from sunrise to sunset, and then the lighted facility statement. So like the whole park open sunrise to sunset, and then you're just saying the lighted facilities as the lower. So just, I would say 2 would change 9 p.m. to sunset.
So let me see here. I'm going to change this back. My paperwork here. So you think, so CJ, you said option 2.
I would change, I would just make it sunrise to sunset, and then just say lighted facilities defined, blah, 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 keep the rest of that.
But wouldn't that be the same as option 1? Is that what you just said?
Other than sunrise to 9 p.m. You April to October.
Oh, okay, I'm with
You
you.
know what I mean? I would just make it a blanket with sunrise to sunset and then say except for lighted facilities which are open as follows.
Which is option 1, I think.
It is, I mean, yeah.
If I'm understanding you correctly.
Well, I like the way 2 reads better, but rather than saying closing at 9 p.m., I would just say sunrise to sunset. Like it says in option 1.
So you think, so really you think option 1 with the modification under A2, instead of saying sunrise to 9 p.m., just stay leaving it sunrise to sunset year round. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, I guess 1 and 2 are almost. So yeah.
I know John had sent me an email. Let me see here, just I told him, of course, that I would share his note. Should I pull up? So John's preference was option number 2, which is basically the year-round set hours. Well, that's nice. So he's saying on the option 2, which is year-round set hours with options, with the additional options for lights. So maybe I misunderstood you, CJ. Were you saying you like the year-round set hours, or were you like, did you say you like?
I like the year round and set hours, but I guess the night, I would just say sunrise and sunset, unless you want to stay open until 9 o'clock when it's dark outside.
Sure.
That is what you were saying.
Yeah. I'm with you. I was confusing myself.
Like in December.
So- And I think there might be some confusion, almost like maybe an option 5, I don't want to carry on, but what she's pointing out is year round, sunrise and sunset, and option 1, 2, and 3 all have breakdowns of seasons. Correct? So February to March.
Yeah.
So yes.
So almost to the point of keep it like it is, year round, sunset, sunrise and sunset, with the exception, then you call out the lighting facilities have a closing time that basically is extended past sunset.
And that's, I guess, what 2 is.
Right, yeah, it's pretty much, so we're basically saying, okay, parks, in general, the parks are open sunrise to sunset year round as they currently are.
Correct.
In addition, lighted facilities are open until X times,
Whatever.
seasonal. Okay,
Right.
so. Anybody else have any thoughts on any of the other options, or like something different?
No, I like what you just said.
Okay, so everybody, if I'm hearing correctly, everybody is on board with option 2. And I'm not asking for a specific vote at this point in time. What I'll do is I'll bring this back once more next month with this option. I'm going to discuss it again with, town staff, public safety, et cetera. And I'll come back again next month with this, and we won't have to go into significant discussion next month, hopefully. So what we'll do.
I'm sorry, but just to be clear, year-round set hours, but then you're in option 2, you've got year-round set hours, but then you break it down into 2 seasons, if you will.
Right, so year-round set hours with exceptions for lighting facilities.
Okay, I see where the.
Right.
All right.
Now, what you guys had talked about doing was that reason change that to sunrise and sunset, and then have the lighting facility. I'll take that back. I'll bring it back next month. You guys, and what I'll ask at that point in time is for recommendation from the Recreation Advisory Board for approval by the town council, with the intention of, because it's too late to get it up to the town council for April anyway. So the intention of that would be, I would already have it drafted as such, and that would go on the, what month we're in, March, on the May council agenda. And I think that's good. I think, I think that's a good, I think that's a good way to go. And really, truly, I think it'll be great for us because again, the problem for us is just, we know that we allow people to use facilities when they're lighted, but it doesn't say that. So it just leads to confusion.
As evidence,
Do what?
as evidence.
Right, yeah, exactly. So what I'll more than likely do on that one is, I don't think that I'll change any park entrance signs. Now, especially of course, in the rec park, they're all brick. Now, what we will do is post signage, visible signage immediately after the entrance signs with the lighting information. And we'll try to post that at some of the lighting facilities as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you did nothing but put it at the
Yeah.
lighting facility, you wouldn't necessarily have to put it at the entrance.
Well, I just like it at the entrance because then when if somebody's driving in, I'm saying, hey, I want to drive in and I want to use the tennis courts. But it says sunrise to sunset, then they might not be served. Then they see that one, like, okay, well, then it should be good to go. All right, well, that was easy enough. All right. What else I have on here? Where am I? All right, only item that I've got on new business is just spring baseball, just quick Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, of course, we play junior Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is the sanctioning organization, sanctioning body as a whole. We play junior Babe Ruth and prep. Last year, the first offer prep we did not, which is for prep and junior. Of course, just like to make teams, or we have to combine them to make them feasible. Then we will certainly do so. We would only have one, but we are registered for both prep and junior Babe Ruth. We have had some registration going on already, which is pretty good because usually that's that's typically smaller numbers anyway. Usually I have 2 or 3 teams, and that's typically a very, very last minute thing for most folks. Sounds like the season for that will be, I think, games will be May 17th, about the end of June. With a lot of the games on Mondays and Wednesdays. Let's see. That's all I've got on those. Does anybody have anything on any of the old business or new business items that I didn't touch on? All right, on to the rec programs update then, which is the last 2 pages of your packet for those of you here. Oops, where am I? So rec programs again. So of course, we already talked about movies and concerts. All in-person classes remain suspended until further notice. That's another one that I'm hoping now with the update in or the rollback of some of the restrictions, that hopefully we can get some in-person classes back up and running as soon as possible. Fit some of the in-person fitness classes especially. We, just as a reminder right now, you see below, we are doing online virtual fitness classes, Zumba and Tai Chi. We're offering yoga as well for a while, and we discontinued just due to participation. There are no charges for that. However, of course, we do pay our instructors. So hopefully we can get back to the in-person stuff and start to, charge some registration and generate some revenue from that as well. And we may well still do some online stuff or virtual fitness classes, maybe on a more limited basis, just as a way of, stirring some interest in some of those, or, giving an opportunity to somebody that might not have done it, see what it's all about before they sign up for an in-person one. I think we're going to try to, talk with our instructors some as well about doing some outdoor classes as well. Easter bunny or Easter egg drive through bunny wave. We already talked about that one a little bit. That same information is there. I will reread that information.
Who's gonna be buying?
Our intern, Justin. That's one of the intern's duties is to be the Easter bunny. Let's see. Spring County baseball, we've already talked about. T-ball and Pee-wee, we've already talked about. And prep and junior Babe Ruth, we've already talked about. The only thing I will say in addition to that is that registration is available online and in person at the operations center during business hours, which this current business hours for town offices being open to the public are modified. We're here normal business hours, but town offices are open to the public Monday through Wednesday, 8 to 12, and Thursday and Friday, 1 to 5. You know, again, I would, that's as it currently stands, and then until further notice, I'm not sure when that would change. And until further notice, registration fees for those are $50 for residents and $65 for non-residents. On to other agenda items. Victoria had sent me a message. I think she wanted to discuss. Victoria, I'll let you speak here on the subject here in a second, but park users cleaning up after themselves and cleaning up after pets. With that being said, Victoria, I'll turn it over to you to let you touch on that item.
Yes. I noticed when I'm walking on the walking trail, I'm noticing that people are not picking up after their dogs. Is there a fine or do we have anything posted in there?
So we do have stuff about cleaning up after your pets. Cleaning up after your pets is also a town ordinance, and violating it, you know, does result in can result in a citation. The only difficulty of that citation, though, I believe, is that they have to, law enforcement has to be witness to it.
Right. So as a private citizen, I guess someone would videotape someone not cleaning up after their dog. That's only. But some of the citizens have come and mentioned that to me as far as when they're walking, they do notice people not picking up after themselves. I don't know if we need to put more garbage pails there or what do we need to do? Kind of near the basketball court in Hillcrest. I guess it's just a few water bottles or whatsoever.
Yeah, so the cleaning up after pets part, because and Randy had asked, yes, we do have pet waste stations at all 3 parks.
Yes.
We've got them on the walking trail at Winterville Rec Park. We've got them around the walking trail at Hillcrest Park, and then we've also got one at Hillcrest Park. And I will say, and obviously, you know, our numbers are, our staff numbers are limited, but, you know, when we're around, if we see somebody do it, you know, we address it, you know, quite on, not to get too deep in the weeds, but I had one time, probably about a year or 2 ago, where there was an individual, it was during an event that we were hosting, there was an individual that had a dog, and that dog went number 2, and I sat there and watched it. And the dog owner started walking away. And this individual, their dog had not gotten number 2 right then. Long story short, they did end up cleaning up their stuff. So, you know, I honestly, the best thing for that, or I shouldn't say the best thing, one of the most active forms of addressing that, and I know not everybody's comfortable doing this, is saying something to the person when they see them do it. You know, because a lot of times people are embarrassed by that. Nobody wants to be embarrassed, so they clean up after it so that they don't have to get caught and addressed again. Now, that being said, you know, if it is a continuous issue, you certainly contact the Winterville Police Department to let them know to keep an eye out for it. And you can also contact, you know, our office to let us know so that we can keep an eye on it. You know, again, knowing that there are a limited number of eyes. But yeah, I will agree, you know, it's certainly frustrating. We've got pet waste stations out that people still do not clean up after pets. And look, I've got 3 dogs. I don't enjoy picking it up, but I know as a dog owner, that's my responsibility, and I do.
Right.
You know, and then I think you mentioned trash at the basketball court at Hillcrest. Yeah, I have seen, especially a lot of times on weekends, there will be a large group of folks playing basketball at Hillcrest. And, you know, some weekends are worse than others, but, you know, yeah, where they just leave a bunch of trash out by the basketball courts. I don't, you know, there's not, I don't know that there's any one solution to any of this. You know, what we could do is we could put some signage up, you know, around the basketball courts at Hillcrest, you know, please dispose of waste to trash receptacles, or please clean up after yourself, or something along those lines. So we can do that easy.
Right, that'll be good.
Evan.
Sure.
Does the city provide bags for the dog owners?
So if you're asking about it in our pet waste stations, yes. You know, I mean, they don't, if you're saying like, you know, as a whole for the populace, no, but at all 3 parks where we have pet waste stations, there are pet waste bags there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll try to get some, you know, a sign made up so that we can have some, so that we can get something put up over there by the Hillcrest basketball courts. And probably, honestly, we'll probably do, it's probably not a bad idea to do the same thing over at the playground at Winterville RAB.
Yeah,
People still just drop it where they are and go on their merry way. But yeah, we'll make that happen.
but on a good note, the parks are being used a whole lot. And I'm real proud of the outcome. So on a good note.
What were you saying, Johnny?
Now that's me, Victoria. I was saying on a good note, the parks are being well used. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah, they certainly have been, you know, and I think that, you know, the playground projects that we undertook a few years ago have really paid off. You know, those have been well received. I know a lot of people like to go, you know, come to those playgrounds from both within and outside of our community. You know, I mean, there's certainly nice facilities, as are all, you know, I will say we may have a small parks maintenance staff, but I would put them up against most anybody. I'm not going to say they're perfect. None of us are perfect, but for being a 2-man full-time parks maintenance staff with everything that they have to take care of.
They do. Yeah,
Yep.
it's true.
All right. Future agenda items or items to be added, anything?
No.
All right. I have no announcements outside of any of those that I previously made. So that being said, Randy, I'll turn it back over to you. And just as a reminder, before adjourning, we do have
Kirby said.
Yep. Kirby and John.
And I'm assuming no word, no text.
I have not heard anything from Kirby. If you guys want to do separate motions, one on each of them, you can. If you want to do one motion to cover both of them, even if it's 2 separate status then that's fine.
I don't recommend.
Stat eye, whatever is there.
Verdict. Yeah, I mean, just in keeping with everything else, we'll say, I would say Kirby's absence unexcused, with John's, and notifying that he's out of town, an excused absence.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
I second.
Second,
All right, I'll go ahead and pull the board. I'll start with those that are here in person. CJ, Randy,
Yes.
Victoria,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Johnny.
yes.
All right. And last but not least,
We can call adjournment of the meeting. 7:23, if those items on the agenda have been covered. Everyone on board?
Yes.
Yes. Do we need to vote for that?
yeah, we do.
Okay, motion to end the meeting. We got a second?
All right, I'll pull, starting with CJ, Randy,
Yes.
John, John's not here, Johnny,
Yes.
Victoria,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks for coming, guys. Next meeting, Tuesday, April 27th. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay,
thank you
be
all
safe.
very much for being here, and you